Excuse me, kind sir. If you could point me to the elevator that leads to the freaky laboratory, I'll be out of your atmosphere. We are the first, the last, the Nerdom, and I'm Tom, and I'm here with Mike.
Hello, Tom. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, we got some upgrades here going, and that
Yeah.
trippy cool music
hmm
and countdown. I'll go ahead and kill the music here, and
hmm
we can get
Makes
into the
now.
thing. Like,
Now today I don't have my boomer juice, but I do have some fresh, refreshing Zebia zero-calorie cola. We're not sponsored, but
but
I
we
do.
can be, but we
Yeah,
can be.
we're good. We good.
And with that being said, I'll do my old standby coffee,
hmm
as well as my healthy portion of wine.
Yep.
As we get into this thing. So, how you been, Tom?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been ages since we spoke.
Oh God,
It's crazy,
been a
crazy,
couple of
crazy.
years, maybe a couple decades, couple of years, couple hundred years. Blue collar wizard. Um, but anyway, we'll keyhole that later as it goes. But yeah, so obviously you can see from the thing here, we are doing a takedown of this really cool movie that you found on Netflix. One of two. Which the other one I definitely want to probably cover. Maybe we keep it in the
We'll
back
circle
pocket.
back. We'll circle back to
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. But first, and is no stranger to anybody else out there. We'll do the bona fides, and we can get into the important thing here to plug the show. Uh, um, just want to give a big shout out. I guess you got to refresh it here. I want two shout outs that I want to two things I want to mention. One, if you could check out our video with our special guest Chris. He has a fantastic 2K plus and ever growing VHS collection that we kind of plumbed the depths of the 80s and his collection. And it was a very fun walkthrough. How about you?
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and we will definitely have him back on, as well as our ever in expanding, just like our back catalog is ever growing up to 180 today. We're getting close to 200. We'll have to do something special for 200 maybe.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to plug our show. You can also find us on Twitter. Tom has the fortitude to keep up with the Twitters and the dumpster fire that it can be once in a while. But he's out there, so give him a shout out there if you find us there. But probably more than likely, you're going to find us on YouTube. And we thank you so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing. We are up to 317. We thank you so much for the folks that decided to subscribe to us.
Mm-hmm.
New friends, maybe in different parts of the world like Japan, maybe Canada, maybe Australia, maybe Europe, maybe somewhere else in between. We welcome you and thank you so much for joining us.
Yep.
And before we get into this week, I just want to shout out one more thing. Um, go check out. I got to make a playlist for it, but I'll put a playlist out there eventually. But Tom has been um, uh, galloping hard on the end of the Book of the Fallen, and so go check out his book, second to the last book in that series, and check out
Number number
what his
nine.
yeah
Yep.
number 9, yeah, what his thoughts were. Uh,
Currently reading number 10, the final one. So that video will be here sooner than we think. But yeah, I'm just barely cracked it. So yeah, don't expect it anytime soon. And then also this episode is kind of a filler. So who knows when it actually will get put out there. So
Absolutely, but I also did want to call attention to Tom and I as we do this thing. Sometime we're gonna have a big let's play with a couple more current video games. Helldiver 2 is out, and I know I want to get into. I want to do something with that in the channel, and I also want to get a little bit better at it before we do it. But with that being said, I did do a little test run of RoboCop. It seemed to work fine, but I think we're going to be in better waters once I get a little bit better gear. Tom already has that gear, but anyway, also wanted to shout out to our Ninja Kamui, which the third episode is out. Probably by the time you see this, it'll probably be half season, and then we'll probably recap that at some point, maybe or toward the end. And then also shout out to our Justice Buster episode where we cover manga, special manga Batman version, very cool. We each had our own thoughts, but you'll only know if you go check it out. So if you want a front row ticket to all of this, and more, special guests, as well as maybe some upcoming swag, you will be benefited the most if you hit that subscribe button. And we thank you again. And with that being said, I think we can break into our to our our weekly takedown here. I'm going to pull us back out to I'm going to hide the browser screen here, but like, so what? Yeah, take us there. Take us. How'd you come upon this? How'd you hear about it, and what brought you to what brought you to recommend this week, Tom?
Well, whenever I pull out my handy dandy phone and all-in-one media center, I'll go to the old Googles and it'll throw up. It invades my privacy and finds out what I like and whatnot, and it'll throw up articles that cater to me and say you like sci-fi movies. Netflix has a new sci-fi movie called The Kitchen, which we may, like Mike said, we'll cover in the future. But I started reading about it and saying, that sounds like a good movie I want to see. And in the article, it mentioned that Netflix has been kind of investing into sci-fi recently.
Mhm.
And they said
Big
They
way.
Cloned Tyrone was another big one that had recently been put out there. And so both titles sounded interesting. I'm always interested in interesting takes on various movie genres or styles or storytelling, and this seemed to spice things up a little bit in a way that was appealing to me. So yeah, I was like, hey, let's do this movie, and I'm glad we did. It's basically it is very much a sci-fi story. It starts off maybe as a kind of a gritty crime drama to start with. That focuses on John Boyega as Fontaine. He's a drug lord, a small time drug lord, and he's kind of cruising his territory and having the normal conflict with various rival gang members and drug dealers. And so he kind of gets mixed up, and he ends up getting shot and what appears to be killed, and then he wakes up the next day as if nothing has happened. So
Yeah.
that's our stage for the movie. But yeah, something a little bit extraordinary. Maybe sci-fi is happening. Maybe cloning, as the title suggests.
Yeah, and I did want to bear with me here. I'm oh, oh, wrong one. Sorry, messing with my Zoom here. Sorry, I've got another
No worries.
thing I wanted to cover real quick. Yeah, I wrote a few things like yeah, and they cloned Tyrone. Juel Taylor is it's their first outing as a film. It's definitely social commentary. It's thrilling. Sci-fi mystery, which I like. It has a little bit of noir
Mm-hmm.
polish to it. A little bit of
Mm-hmm.
it trades from a lot of things, and that you just get that feeling with Jamie Foxx. John
Mm-hmm.
Boyega is his own Teyonah Parris, also great. I just did want to.
Mm-hmm.
It is a genre mashup of sci-fi comedy, like you were saying. It uses the narrative to touch on very interesting social issues,
Mm-hmm.
which we'll get into. Which very interesting. I've seen different takes in absorbing this. It'd be cool to hear your take, Tom. It definitely is thought provoking, and I as a kind of a second layer to all of this, I am always on the lookout, especially doing the show, and the things that we cover, and never mind genre or media. Well, specifically cinematography. I love movies. I know you do too. Um, this is the very first director debut for this person, and I gotta say, if this is their first outing, I don't know about you, but I'm showing up for 2, 3, 4, kind of like that Alex cat over 824. If you apologize, I'm not bringing the name up, but like when you come across good directors, pay attention to them, because like you
Yeah.
want more from this. Basically, this is all to say, you want more from them. Yeah, I want to see
Yeah.
them do more, and this was very unique. um, it didn't it interweaved a lot of different things in there. Kind of, I don't want to say member berries, but it didn't do them in a cheap way. It did them in a very respectful, responsible, funny, I would say, way that keeps you entertained, keeps you invested in the characters as you
Yeah.
get to see them. They're also unique. That was that's just the first outing from my intro, but like take us away. Like what
Right.
we're already in the meat of it. Like what did you think
Uh,
of this director? What'd you think of Boyega? What'd you think of Parris? What'd you think of Jamie Foxx?
when you say meat, you're probably talking about chicken. Chicken is a prominent feature of this movie. But no, when I go into a movie, especially for our show,
Yeah,
um, I kind of we started with pink, but I thought I'd darken it a little bit because this movie's kind of dark. We were talking about
it does.
this before we started. It's shot very dark, but yeah, it's started off as a blacklist film, which is movies that are notorious in Hollywood, that and notorious because they're very good scripts that haven't been produced yet. Juno is one of those. I'm sure there's a list of movies that went on to be big movies, but they just for whatever reason wasn't being made. And I think probably one of the reasons this got a green light is probably because of Get Out success. Get Out was a huge movie for Jordan Peele, and kind of sparked the whole sci-fi horror genre, with maybe with a little bit of a slant. And this movie, with kind of a social commentary. And this movie doesn't copy Get Out, but it kind of follows its kind of structure of, it starting off as like a kind of normal movie, so to speak. And as the characters get further into the story, things kind of open up in kind of fantastic ways, but never strays too far away from kind of a social construct, kind of an examination. And it does it right, like Get Out. Instead of the message bludgeoning you over the head, the story is king in this, as it was in Get Out. The story was very much the focus. And you know one of the dings you could say about the story is that it's it maybe not hold under pressure as far as logic sense. It's like, okay, I had a lot of questions as I watched this, saying, well, how did that work in the past or the future? Is the inner workings of the plot, but it kind of the actors in their excitement and joy in watching them kind of carries you through the movie, and you don't focus too much on the details. But the story overall is very much engaging and kind of carries you through to the end.
Yeah, I do have commentary on it. I will say, broadly speaking, I think that the first quarter of the movie, it does a very good job of bringing you in. But as you go through each section of the movie, um, in my opinion, and this is very light criticism,
Mhm.
as it were, as I am a semi-professional homeowner. So too, that means that I am on the internet. I am a doctor, and I play one on TV and all that. I'm just joking, but all that joking aside, to say, um, it did fray at certain points.
Mhm.
But considering like what it's trying to lift and do, it was bound to like maybe not get a good grip. That doesn't mean that you're not going to enjoy it. I do really disagree with the 6.6. I think it's a little higher, and this is just the IMDb rating, because I've
Mhm.
heard people give it higher than this, like 2 points higher. But I'm not there on the high end of it, but I would say that I we just did our show talking about the 80s, and we kind of covered different vibes, so to speak,
Mhm.
or atmospheres, as you said, and the play in when you played us in. Um, and the genre, the thing that I can think of, the good high praise that I could say before I say a number, is the fact this is exactly what you would want to see on like a Saturday at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. If this came on, you would be dialed in. This is perfect for that kind of feeling, so to speak. A great Netflix film, and just in general, if you land on it at random,
Mhm.
you won't be disappointed. But I don't think that it's a 6.6 as IMDb says. I gave it higher than that. I'd say like a 6.8 or a 7.2, 7.2. Going over the curb of 7 at best. But it did. I love the story made sense. It kind of frayed a little bit. Like I kind of was getting a little bit like I was kind of getting this little spun around for like
Yeah,
where are
yeah,
we, like
yeah.
what time
There's
period, what I mean, they kind of
right.
they play fast and loose. So that's where the sci-fi part comes in. I guess you could
Mhm.
explain that away, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
I kind of got that disorientation like you did, but I'll let you take it from there.
yeah, like you were saying, it's you did spend I spent a lot of time kind of trying to place it in time. I think that may be a little bit of a fault or a ding, because you
Maybe a little bit.
kind of are kind of misplaced, but I think it's intentional. It's got I think he may have kind of put too much on his plate. He should have picked one and stayed with it, but it has very much a kind of a black exploitation
Yep.
vibe to it,
Yep.
and he did go all in on the look of
All of them.
that.
All of them.
Yeah, it's kind of got the. I'm sure it was shot digitally. I'm not sure, but it most likely it was shot digitally and it was given kind of that grain look of a film,
It,
and also
I
yeah
caught that. Like I will
yeah
say, I will say how this was shot and how it was edited and the coloring, and the scenes really worked for me. When it's on and it's a good movie and it's a good cinematic experience, just visually speaking, it if it does it right, it pulls you into that world. And I
yeah
really dug that graining. I don't know about you, but like I really dug that.
yeah
I
yeah
it really it helped. Although I will say, I do think it was kind of long. Like we're
yeah
just doing kind of like long form criticism, like a little bit, but that's okay. Like um, it still
yeah
works. It still works.
the grain's nice, and yeah, it kind of makes you feel like, okay, I'm watching a movie, it has that film vibe, and even to the extent of, I don't know if the eagle-eyed watcher out there noticed it, but I did. Up in the right-hand corner, every 20 or so minutes, you got a cigarette burn stain in there, and if you're a cinephile,
Damn.
back in the day, when you're watching a movie, a film in the theaters, played on film,
That's when they would have to.
there's it's called in the if you watch Fight Club, you're expert on it as well, but because Tyler Durden explains it in detail, but there's a cigarette burn up at what they call a cigarette burn, but it's kind of a burn into the film to tell the projectionist when to change the film. And the first one is to tip them off, and the second one is when the other one picks back up. So they had those two cigarette burns throughout the movie every 20 minutes or so, and I'm sure it was kind of a nod. Again, everything's digital, but kind of a nod to where it was a nod to the old movies that it's trying to inspire. And then there's also a timelessness in that you're seeing like old CTR monitors on computers.
Mhm.
I think the only cell phone you see is a flip phone.
That's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
but it was a modern flip phone with a little screen on the back of it. So I was like, okay, so is this modern day? So I had that constant feeling. It felt like maybe it was set in the '90s, and at one point I go, well, no, because Slick Charles, Jamie Foxx's character, said something about, "Hey, I was I was at so and so back in the 90s or 96 or something like that. So it's like, okay, well, it took place after 96. So yeah, I think having it kind of at a a certain time in the past, that's cool, but it kind of played a little bit too much with that to where you
Hmm.
were focused on that. At least I was kind of focused on that, trying to place it in time. But yeah, I would say maybe stick with one way and go with it. But yeah, I think since it was his first movie, maybe he wanted to do everything that he always dreamed of doing in a film.
Hmm.
So
I could see that.
maybe it got a little cluttered. But yeah, like you said, it's a great first movie for the guy.
At
And
first, that
look,
bad
yeah,
is.
yeah,
Uh, I,
yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say I absolutely think that as a first at bat, this is like a stunning success. I'll
Mhm,
just put that way, and I say that because even though the movie didn't end up being that, in my opinion, as a first at bat for like somebody coming up, dude, you did great. You did amazing. Like because most people don't do good, especially in modern movies, whether they be on Netflix or this new model with streaming, which we covered at length with Chris, our last show that we talked about the 80s and whatnot.
mhm,
But they cloned Tyrone worked for me. And it there was more good than bad, and really, I'm not. There's some major things that we have. I have like a rock to kind of a boulder of salt, so to speak, of size. So it's not nitpicking, like where you kind of got to look for it, but the pacing was a little bit off at points. It kind of threw me out a little bit. But aside from that, when this ensemble is on the screen, you are paying attention. And they do that so well. There's such a good chemistry. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm already a John Boyega fan anyway.
yeah, yeah,
Not
yeah.
to the point that like we're not quite to the point to like where I go track down every single thing that he makes because I'm not that much of a fan. Let's just put it that way. But I definitely like when it comes up or I see him, um, he knows how to act, and it makes me sad that he didn't get a better cut in Star Wars, but that's a whole different take. And I won't go there. Like, so we'll just focus on the positives. But and of course, Jamie Foxx, like he there's a reason why he has great delivery,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah, I
keeps you dialed in.
yeah.
You never get really kind of thrown out. Some parts get a little bit long, and then you're kind of you are kind of have that you don't quite have as a bad of a whiplash like for like Memento, like put that way. On the spectrum of like where the hell are we and what the hell is going on. It is not like that at all, or not even like even more extreme than that. Use of weapons, Ian M. Banks' science fiction book, which is just a book, but it's still it has that whiplash kind of like you don't know what the f is going on. But
Yeah,
it's not quite that bad. You still have your grounding, but you're kind of like dialed in that
yeah, I
way.
like. Yeah, I definitely like the acting in it. John Boyega, like you said, is a standout, as well as Jamie Foxx. These guys know how to act, and later on, I didn't realize he was in the movie, but the
Right.
the main bad guy in it is Kiefer Sutherland,
I
playing
didn't
a
notice that
really,
either. That's funny
really,
you say
yeah,
that. I did not get that. I did not jump on that.
yeah, he did a great job as the overbearing bad guy. Now I'm not sure if I could pronounce. I'm not sure how you pronounce her first name, but the late
Yo-yo.
Yo-Yo is the female protagonist in the movie. I I think she kind of suffers a little bit
You think
from
so?
the.
Oh,
I
okay.
I I didn't think she was quite up there with John Boyega and Jamie
I
Foxx.
all right, interesting. I have
Um,
a different take, but that's cool. Yeah, go on, go on, go
yeah,
on, go on, brother, go on.
yeah, she didn't give the as many layers. Her
All right.
acting is a little bit, and it may be the way her character was written, but that especially that very first scene that she did about her speech of, it seems like it was rehearsed.
Hmm.
The speech of her leaving. It seems like she's always giving that this is my last day. Blah blah blah.
Retiring.
It's right. Yeah. It felt like acting if that makes sense. It felt like
Okay.
that she was acting. She wasn't, and that may be the way she was doing that scene and how she was kind of portraying it. But it kind
Interesting.
of it just didn't feel real to me. Whereas it felt real, all the other actors felt
Wooden.
real. Yeah, well, yeah, maybe a little wooden. Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, see, I kind of took her character as kind of inconsequential in general. Like as you see movies, right? So you see the major characters you can, for the most part, pick out. Even if it's a completely kind of different, like reverse kind of type enterprise, like Tenet or
Hmm.
Memento or or use of that, like that kind of where time kind of becomes a character too. Not It's not really a character in this one, but it kind of does play in because you are getting um, so many different cues. That's the good way to put it. Cues of for their black films, like d- in different kind of feels and touches, like for cell phones, that sort of thing. So I liked her character because it she did see I kind of took it the other way around where like I kind of saw her as being like just a might as well be a how like a plant, like, to be honest, like, because some characters don't have anything, but that's kind of the point, that I kinda picked up a little bit harder from this because of the social commentary of the whole thing, and we won't really do spoilers until we get probably about another 15, 30 minutes, or if we decide or not, but depending on how the conversation
Hmm.
goes. But anyway, getting back to the point. See, I saw her character as kind of like being like just like, background to like becoming going from the background to becoming more in the forefront, like where the focus is on her, to like where to the point to like where the plot makes the pivot it does based on her character of giving a shit and being a human and kind of like going back because like this is the team and you don't leave anyone behind. I'll just
Hmm.
leave it there. And I didn't really spoil. I didn't just kind of sort of not. I didn't go. But anyway, my point is that every time she comes back into a scene, it builds. And I dug it. I see. I was the opposite end of like her performance. Like I dug it. Like actually, I thought that her prominence grew as the film went on, and I think she acquitted herself very well. But then again, I'm not gonna lie, like I'll marry you. I'll become Mr. Paris. Like I'm just joking a little bit, but a little bit of a fan, a little bit of a fan
Yep. Well,
thing
she's
there. But I got it. Like I also wanted to shout out David Allen Greer too.
yep.
Um, God, that brought me back for like a lot of things.
Yeah.
Talking about like just where we're coming from, which is like we just did a show in the '80s, nostalgia. Like this did it very tastefully in a way that, and it pulled it off to
Hmm.
where you were pulled off in 100 different directions for the chicken and a black film and a black prominent film. The kind of like throws the nods to Quentin Tarantino. That kind of genre, or maybe that was more like
No,
it wasn't the 70s it was made in, but
well,
it gave a nod that was very
yeah,
unique and
yeah.
pulled it off, is what I'm saying. I
Well,
think it pulled it
well,
off.
Quentin also kind of basked in black exploitation movies,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
I think this movie kind of went to the roots of those movies. And now I'm
Oh,
not.
absolutely.
I'll never say I'm an expert on black exploitation movies.
No, me neither.
Yeah, I'm more leaning towards. I've seen some Quentin Tarantino movies that were inspired by those. But yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of a part of my movie history that's lacking. But yeah, and speaking of lacking, always when we go into these movies, I like to read up a little bit on these. Maybe
Yep,
read the
me too.
trivia on IMDb. IMDb was kind of. I laughed at their trivia because I guess there wasn't a whole lot to go over. So
Mm.
like, there's a scene where all three of the main characters are eating chicken, and the thing was they said that uh, Parris and uh, Jamie Foxx were making faces because they were eating cold chicken, and John Boyega went back and got warm chicken, and they didn't know it. But yeah, he actually enjoyed his chicken because it was warm. I was like, what kind of trivia is this? What's going on?
Yeah,
And also they did a point by point comparison to the movie's Goonies, which I guess one of the movie posters kind of looks a little bit
okay, all right.
one of the Goonies posters. But the point by point is like, okay, they both, one character in both movies gets kidnapped at one point, and stuff like that. Is like kind of general stuff that you could probably do with a bunch of other movies as well. I was like, I don't see the connective tissues for this, but yeah, it was kind of funny. But yeah, if you want a little bit of a laugh, kind of check out the facts or trivia on IMDb for the movie.
Yeah, yeah, it was funny how they did that. There was just a lot of hints and nods and winks and cues to other films, that are not
Mhm.
too hard to kind of pull together.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't stop the movie to go, look what we're doing. Yeah,
No, but
this is what, yeah, I like you want to do all your nods and inspirations kind of just subtly.
yeah, uh, I dug it. It worked, on so many different levels.
Yeah, I think
Um, it
they did say that, with the Fontaine character, John Boyega's character, each when you cut back to him at the start of the day, he's getting out of the bed and getting ready to step out the house. It was consciously kind of mimicking the Ice Cube's character in Friday.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Which
I can see
which
that. Yep.
yeah, which makes sense and is a nice little nod. I knew it. There was reminiscent. I didn't immediately pick up on it was that, but it just kind of felt like, yeah, I've seen this before, and that's what you want because it's a movie about cloning. So it
Right,
makes sense to make a movie that's kind of reminds you of other movies.
right.
You get that feeling of a repetition of cloning. Kind of it's kind of a nice feel to it. And then that also kind of explains um I guess we're kind of getting a little bit more spoilery as we go, but
Well, we're
just
about 33 minutes in,
yeah,
so I think that, we're
yeah,
second half of the show typically is when we do
yeah,
spoilers, so you're
yeah,
you're
yeah,
you are warned at this point forward. We will
hmm,
spill the beans, spill the
yeah,
tea.
yeah, and but yeah, so some of the characters we find out are clones, and they have been cloned over time, which is kind of one of those areas that the story kind of cracks a little bit if you look too far into it. It's like, well, if these same characters are being revived ever so often, is the stuff that's kind of mind controlling the rest of the community? Is that kind of washing the idea that these people are coming back out of their mind? Do they forget over time that, oh yeah, this guy's been around for since the 70s and it's the same guy? Kind of, yeah. And it also, it's being manipulated by the government.
Right.
So how they kind of hint that it's been there forever within this community,
Yeah.
and so it kind of explains because one of the things that threw me out as far as place and time, a lot of the people's references are like from the 90s or the 80s. Is like the yo-yo is a prostitute, and at one point she goes, it's going to cost you extra if you want a David Carradine. I do a
I
Susan
saw that,
Susan
yeah.
Sarandon. I'll do a Susan Sarandon. But it's like, okay, those are kind of older references. I don't know, if this was modern time, would she be making that reference? Would that really work? But if they're kind of stuck in time and kind of repeating this whole
It
process of living in this world, that whole that timelessness of it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I guess where I'm coming from is, I kinda saw it as, kind of Black Mirror, I guess. Like that it gave me echoes of that a little bit. Which basically means that sometimes when sci-fi is in the picture, there's one of two schools of thought. You either do some kind of hard science or science-based whatever, and that's technobabble, whatever, or you do kind of like where it's just kind of what was the any Arthur C. Clarke, I think, said
Mhm.
any advanced technology is sufficient to equivalent to magic, right?
Hmm.
So there, meaning that there are some science fiction series that basically take that magic component, like Star Wars. There's a mystical kind of component to it, but what I'm saying is it makes it more nebulous, and you don't really get a hard grab on the
Hmm.
mechanics, like kind of like how Dune plays things, kind of like how Star Wars plays things, kind of like how that's kind of like I
Hmm.
was open to that, so I didn't. The only part that I was kind of like really grabbing onto was like the style.
Hmm.
Um, because there's so many nods to the 70s, to
Hmm.
the every automobile in here is not newer than the 80s, bare
Right.
minimum. That's
Yeah.
one thing that I enjoyed that, like, meaning back in the day, kids, there used to be these thing called boats, right? Like a big Cadillac or Lincoln or, just any kind of big vehicle on the road, land yacht, as it were, is showing my age, but, like, I appreciated that I really got kind of like the more kind of the time that I'm into this space of streaming, I kind of feel like, and Justin kind of called it out a little bit ago, like a few weeks back, when we were talking about the fact that these things are made for certain audiences,
Hmm.
and I guess maybe it's just me adjusting to modern day, like knowing that, like, okay, like, I've seen articles, and we've shared them here and there, but I read an article about media companies and about how there is this thing called dad series, like, I can't think of the exact name, but like, Reacher, that, like, last few weeks, last few months, in the start of the new year, Jack Reacher has been like a go-to series on Amazon Prime.
Yeah. I guess
And I
Top
think,
Top
well,
Gun Maverick would be definitely
well,
a dad
yeah,
movie.
no, perfect example of that. Yeah, yeah, no, no, absolutely. And the actually that you mentioned that, I kind of talked to you behind the scenes about the Critical Drinker is somebody who I think we both loosely follow on YouTube. And he apparently was a book author, which I didn't know, like, up until like the last year or so. But and I haven't read any of his stuff, but he has a trailer out that it fits in that genre,
Mhm.
the classic action kind of Matt Damon action series kind of
Man.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. No, but
Mhm.
anyway, my point being,
Mhm.
long-winded as it is, that this film, Netflix understands this. So it kind of makes me sad that it can't be
Not that,
greater and
not
more.
that, yeah, not that Netflix, yeah, it understands it, but does it promote it? Yeah,
Well,
or does it shovel out and bury
well,
it?
see, this is the
Yeah.
problem, right? So, okay, like, well, we both like Spiderhead, actually, to the point that, like, I thought that it was like one of the better films of the year.
Hmm.
Grain of salt, right?
Hmm.
For 2022, and there wasn't really shit going on in 2022, but
Hmm.
the general audience per se did not like it. If you were to go by the metrics of
Hmm.
Netflix or people talking about it online,
Yeah.
and that's fine. That's fine. Like, I accept that because maybe my taste is way different than normies. That's fine. Personal
Well,
preference. It doesn't really matter. It's very subjective.
yeah.
But this, I could see myself returning to this and being really sad if it was yanked from Netflix catalog because it was a Netflix original thing.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
don't
Like,
like this. I,
yeah.
I like the streaming media, the era that we're in, but I don't like it. And this kind of goes back to shut up and plug to our other things. Like we talked about physical media off and on here. This is kind of like where this thing, you will never see a physical media release of this ever.
Well, yeah.
I hate to say that, but like,
Well,
and
yeah.
it calls for it. Maybe if
Well,
I hope I'm wrong, but
yeah. It would probably be up to a boutique company like Arrow Films or something that would maybe pick it up if there was enough groundswell for it. That was the circle back. That's sort of like the problem, like you said. Even Netflix originals have started to disappear. Like Hush is like a really cool movie that Mike Flanagan did, and
hmm.
it's kind of disappeared off of Netflix, and it's a Netflix original, so there's nothing about licensing or anything. But these movies, I remember these movies back in the '90s and 80s, kind of lower tier, cheaply made movie that would get put out into theaters and would be a little bit of a buzz for, and maybe word of mouth would either make it become a hit, or it would become like a cult classic that would, but you would go out in the theater to see. And when it was out, there would be a little bit of a buzz for it. And then when it came out on video, people go, "Oh yeah, that one was in the theater a little bit while back. Let's pick that up." Whereas now, when it gets thrown out onto streaming, there may be kind of an initial kind of buzz for it, or media excitement about it, but
Right.
the average normie doesn't see any of that, and they just maybe see it as a thumbnail on their screen as they're flipping through Netflix, and there's nothing to kind of scream out, say, "Hey, watch me." So it gets, and then once that's initially on Netflix, if it doesn't immediately hit off, it becomes buried among their huge library. So that's sort of the problem with the streaming services, and I'm sure they're acutely aware of that, and they probably tried various things to try to push their catalog up front, and maybe try to catch some eyes, but it's a hard thing to do with how it's set up. Now, I also wanted to talk about this kind of hits my sweet spot. I really
Mm.
wanted to love this movie. I think at the end of it, I liked it. I liked it a lot, but I
Mhm.
didn't fully love it. But I wanted to, because it kind of hits my sweet spot of the sci-fi I like, or at least one flavor of sci-fi I like is uh, Boyega.
Uh,
During and this is very much kind of what something's out to get us, this big overwhelming thing, whatever it is, either it's the government, it's aliens, it's whatever. That whole sense of paranoia kind of brought me back to 90s television, and
oh yes,
Chris Carter and his
X-Files. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
X
I
Files
got that too.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
No, I
yeah,
love that.
yeah,
I love that about this
yeah,
this
yeah,
this is why I can't. I mean, the more I think about it, the more I have time to digest it and whatnot. Um, you kind of
but
like put
yeah,
your finger on like
right,
you were
yeah,
saying, it kind of feels like Jordan Peele a little bit. If it kind of
right,
feels
right,
like
right,
it kind of feels like Quentin a little bit. It kind of feels
mhm,
like Jamie Foxx. I mean, and
right,
he's done
and
his own action kind of thing. Like
mhm,
no,
yeah,
nobody's
and
like and the
mhm,
comedy isn't goofy. And
right,
what I mean by that is like none of the main characters are made to be stupid or incompetent or anything like that. They all can kind of poke fun at each other, but they don't lose their integrity, which is
yeah,
something that modern day things don't have, in my opinion.
right,
That
and
works for this, and it's in its
yeah,
favor.
yeah, and then to get back, yeah, Chris Carter with the X Files, and he led into both Millennium, Lone Gunman, and Harsh Realm. I
Okay.
really would love to have that '90s paranoia back.
Oh
There
man,
was
we
another
got
show,
that's
yeah,
another show for
yeah,
sure. Like a few shows for us.
yeah. There was a short-lived show as well called Nowhere Man that was really hit the sweet spot of what's paranoia, what's going on. But yeah, like I said, and Jordan Peele kind of brought that back with Get Out as well. But yeah, I hope that this kind of stays in the ether, and that we see more movies like this. Another thing is, yeah, when you play on, say, the paranoia thing, and kind of harken back to previous things, I always this movie really touched on that and kind of gave a good story for that. But the thing that kind of brings it up a level, and takes me from really liking it to loving it, is if you twist and turn it in a way, an unexpected way. This one kind of, I kept waiting for a really like, oh my gosh, kind of gotcha moment in this, and doesn't really get there. It plays it pretty much by the numbers, and what elevates it to just okay to really like is the acting, the style of the movie, the music, just the
Mm.
general vibe of it. But if the writing was a little bit sharper, and the directing was maybe a little bit sharper, they would have brought it up to that, you know, uh, that cult classic that, oh my gosh, this is a amazing movie kind of level. And again, all you can ask for is a good time, and this is what it gives you.
Yeah, no, they all for the time that they were on the screen, um maybe minus a character here or there, it works. It was fun.
That's the Goonies kind of cover. Yeah, that one. It's
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
right on.
inspired. There's not a scene in it that's like that.
No,
But
it plays very well with what it offers. And the social commentary on this is wide open.
yeah.
And that is what good art does. Good art invites you in to watch the story, and then you figure it out. Because I've seen a little bit of heartburn over the ending of this, where I'm not going to give anything away, but like it kind of just keeps on looping. Um,
Mhm.
and I will say this. Um, the fact that they use Nancy Drew and Scooby Doo as like a
Yeah, yeah.
callback, is one thing, and it naturally begs the natural thought, and they're very good. If it was Taylor's idea, the director, to do this point blank,
Well,
they're
he's the co-writer
well,
of the
they're a
script.
friggin'
Yeah.
genius if they did, because it invites you back. What you want to see is, I'm not quite sure what I want. I don't know if I want another movie or if I just want a series on like maybe a couple of these, but like I would entertain it. Normally I would shun that, but like I definitely. What I'm saying is that these characters are so dynamic, and they kind of draw you in. You're kind of like, well, that's kind of a cool idea. Like kind of like this already kind of hip crew of like kind of like Hawaii Five O kind of like styling its own kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, like go
Yeah.
what would the world look like if these guys were knocking down mysteries like week after week after week?
Right.
I don't think Netflix can afford that, to be clear, but I would not say no to that. I would entertain another movie in this world. I don't know what we'll
Yeah, I
see.
think.
Netflix has done it before too with I'll have to pull it up offline here, but it's another sci-fi horror kind of, not really comedy genre, but they did a Cloverfield Lane. That's what I was stuck.
Mhm,
They didn't own the rights to the original one, but they
mhm.
did a remake with John Goodman. But like that's kind of the vibes that I'm getting from this. Like I would love to see more of
Yeah,
this
yeah,
universe. We'll see. I
yeah.
don't know.
I think all good movies kind of, even if they don't plan on a sequel, they kind of they inspire or make the audience want a sequel, and any great movie can have a sequel, whether or not
I
that sequel is good or not. That's a And also
well,
I wanted to say that throughout the movie I was like, okay, who's Tyrone from the whole movie? Now, by the end of the movie, you do know who Tyrone is by the
you
end,
do.
but yeah, that was kind of a fun button at the end. But yeah, it kind of leaves it open to kind of maybe a road movie at the end, possibly with the three main characters, and yeah, it could be interesting having those three characters maybe experience a different genre instead of maybe sci-fi, turn it into kind of a horror story, or yeah, it's kind of open, but yeah, it all comes down to the money. So if if it did enough, got enough viewers on Netflix, which it probably didn't, to be honest, so we probably
I think you're
won't
right.
be seeing
Yeah.
seeing a sequel. But yeah, we're doing our part,
No,
spotlighting it here. That's another thing we want to do
we'll
with our
do our part.
channel. Yeah, our channel is kind of spotlight. Historically, our Netflix shows don't do as well as I'd say our 80s, but hey, we're not doing it for the money, so we're talking about the things we love. So hey,
Well, and that just makes a salient point as we get to the end of this thing, to say that we could not do this without you, the viewer out there. We are ever grateful for the
like
300.
viewers like you, as people says.
Absolutely, yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. Subscribers like you, if you want to do that, but yeah, this we as I like to say, I think that we do. Well, I think it'd be foolish for me to say that we don't do reviews, because we do. But I like to think of our show or our media as more of like a recommendation engine, as it were.
We're
And
yeah, more than a review. We're kind of a platform for the fans.
yeah, absolutely. Well,
We're
the nerdom. No,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
absolutely right for that. Yeah, no, I agree with that
I think
wholeheartedly.
more or less nowadays the fandoms become more of a battleground with this guy against that guy, and
Yeah, we don't do that.
that
We don't. We
it
don't do
can be
that.
fun. It can be fun to watch YouTube drama between this group or that group, but at the end of the day, I just like good stuff, and I like to leave the drama where the drama is, and kind of focus on the stuff that's important, which is the movies, the comic books, the anime. Let's put that up on the platform and examine it and see. Okay, is this good or not? Is this worth recommending? Is this worth my time? And yeah, and screw all the nonsense that comes with it. Let's just look at it for what it is.
Well, people have every right to like what they like.
Hmm.
And whether this show is good or bad or whatever, I don't really care. I care more about that I put the effort out, and then I said my piece. And yeah, we're not shock jocks, and we're not chasing the latest trend or hate fest. Like, we get it.
Yeah,
Uh, co-
I don't ever want to have the conversation of, well, you're not supposed to like that.
No, colloquially, like locally, and regionally and nationally, we all know Star Wars sucks, Marvel sucks, whatever. These things come and go as time goes on, but like, I'm never gonna. Yeah, okay, that's fine. And my big hang up is, okay, I understand what you don't like. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you're for. Don't tell me what
Yeah,
you're against. And
yeah.
and I'm not saying that I'm not saying that you don't have a critical right to say and call out negative, when we need to, because we all need to do that. But I'm just saying that's okay, that's fine. But like, for example, and we've had our dalliances with manga and comic books and anime of recent. I really like certain things that are made for my, I guess, age dad group or whatever, or whatever genre. Like, I'm getting. I think that as much as it sucks that we are in a time period of transition, of like figuring out what works and what doesn't work, without the moralizing or telling you to watch this and you're bad, whatever. We don't care about that. This one is a good hit, and I hope that Netflix takes whatever the positives are and rolls it into the next one, like where it was a treat. It was a treat to see. See, there's that stupid thumbs up thing that we were talking about. Like, we're doing like this. If I can do it again, I did it again. Anyway,
Uh-huh.
new platform. Apparently, there's like an emoji thing that it'll do with it. Anyway, it won't do it now.
Nope, nope.
Yeah,
Won't do it.
yeah,
Won't do it. Won't do it
yeah.
for me.
You'll just have to throw your thumbs up next week randomly, Tom, as a trip up to see what the hell that thing is. But anyway,
Mhm.
all this to say, you'll have a good time.
It's sentient. It's like AI. It's gonna
Yeah,
take
well,
over.
yeah,
It'll
everything's
be
AI.
our third host for the show.
Right, right.
We'll call him Thummy. Thummy will come and
Yeah, it's all fun and
take
games.
over until
Yeah,
Thummy comes.
it's all fun
Yeah.
and games until you unionize.
Mhm.
There's another joke to maybe upcoming surprise we have later this year. We'll see if we break
Yeah.
1,000 subscribers. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. So yeah, I enjoyed this movie. And I'm look forward to checking out the kitchen later on this year.
Oh,
That's
you haven't seen that yet?
no, I haven't watched the kitchen yet. Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
interesting. All right.
So yeah, the year's looking bright. Like I said at the start, 2024 is our year. We've got a whole deck. Usually, Mike and I at the end of our podcast, we kind of look at each other and say, "Well, what are we gonna do next?" But yeah, we got so much stuff and that we want to cover.
Oh man.
We're looking instead of the next week ahead, we're looking at a month ahead. It's like when we actually talk about this? Okay, yeah, we'll have to slate it later on. And we talk about stuff we're passionate about. Our recent guest Chris talked about his love of VHS and collecting them. That's what this channel's about. We love talking about the things we love.
No, absolutely. Yeah. We do this thing week after week. We're about 55 minutes or so, about an hour in. Echo what you say. Go watch it. Make up your own mind. It is
Yeah,
not bad at all.
yeah.
It is not like one of these like Cocaine Bear, like where it's really terrible, but it's so bad it's good. This is quality all the way through. I think I'm a little bit more forgiving because this is the first time out for Juel Taylor, and I want to see more. I'm a fan, and we'll see what happens. And maybe, how cool would it be like to see this writer director, I should say, do something with A24? That might be cool. Or Jordan Peele. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah, and YouTube played a trick on me. But yeah, we always like comments, and if you like us, subscribe. But here's the trick, the cruel trick YouTube played on me. I was watching another video, and then I switched back and was going to look at how our latest video was doing. And for some reason, there was a glitch, and YouTube pulled over the comments from the video I was watching over onto our channel. So our video, so it had our video up there, and then had all these comments, like 100 comments, and I was like, oh my gosh, did this video become viral? And we have all these comments. I started looking through them, and I was like, oh, this doesn't make sense. This is kind of referencing what I was watching, and come to find out, it was YouTube played a late April Fool's joke on me, or early one. But my dream is that maybe eventually we'll have a community that talks and celebrates. It may never happen, but hey, we can dream. 2024 is the year of the dream, and we're hoping we're living in it.
Oh, we absolutely are. And I just want to say thank you again for your awesome depth when it comes to all these things, Nerdom. I've been a beneficiary. I honestly think this show is my private little recommendation thing for me to like get brush up on and go through. I kind of joke with Thomas, like we're our what was it, sophomore year, or we just started our junior year of this thing. If it were a college degree, next year we'll be seniors. If it's year 4, if we make it a year 4, but like we're always been thankful for the year after year, week after week. We do this thing for the fun, the love of it. The thing is, if you build it, they will come. So, I mean, maybe one day we are not that far off from having 1,000 subscribers, and commentary as it goes. Yeah. Because like Thomas was saying, we do want to build a community here, and we welcome you. We thank you so much for tuning in. No matter how much you get out of the show, we appreciate it very much. I hit the wrong button.
I disappeared.
Yeah.
You canceled me. But yes. Yeah. So if you made it this far, you may just be a fan, and you might like us. So yeah, go ahead and give us a comment. If there's a Netflix show or movie that you particularly like that's been buried, recommend it to us. Mention it down in the comments.
Yeah, and
that'll show us if you watched the whole video.
Absolutely. And here's some homework for the diligent folks at home. Tell me what are the top 5 things that this movie reminded you of. We Thomas and I kind of called out like half dozen already, but like tell us what you think. And with that being said, I think we're wrapping it up. Go see this one. You will be enriched by it, and hopefully you're enriched by our commentary. So like the thing says on the screen, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. God willing.
Shit, they got an elevator in this bitch.